But the one thing that did really get on ground my gears a wee bit, and subsequent to this, I heard a Hearts fan on a podcast talking about how they don't care that there's no Celtic fans in the stadium, because very confident he was that we sell out our games, we'll sell out that game, they bother. What happened? What happened to your boy? Because that to me was an absolute scandal. So you give Celtic the tiny wee crumbs of the stadium. I think we got 500 in the end up 517, whatever the official figure was, 570. From kick-off, the stadium wasn't sold out. So there was smatterings of empty seats all over the place. And our in, it is like watching a game for COVID times. And as a pure spectacle, as an absolute spectacle, watching that's... Whatever you think of Hearts and how poorly they're performing right now, that is Scottish football's maybe second biggest match between Celtic and Rangers, maybe Celtic Aberdeen, Celtic Hearts, Celtic Hibs. You could decide, whatever your preference is, but Celtic at Tynecastle's always been a raucous, rowdy, aggressive affair. Everyone talks about the thing about Tynecastle is the fans are right on the pitch. Bollocks. Absolute bollocks. And for me, Hearts, you tried the experiment. You tried the not giving Celtic fans any tickets and we'll see if we sell it out. It didn't work. It didn't do your players any good because they were sleepyheads after an hour. There was no energy on that pitch whatsoever. It did you no good in the long run of the game. The atmosphere was terrible. The television spectacle was terrible. And there was only 570 Celtic fans in, but we were the ones making all the noise for the full game. So it asked and answered as far as I'm concerned on this thing, because we're just killing our league here.
Dismal. It was a ridiculous display, and it was clear from maybe a couple of goals in, they started leaving, chucking it and just leaving. Just a tragic display once again. Meanwhile, we're going to Sky, give us all the money, give us tens and tens of millions of pounds to serve up that absolute nonsense.
It just goes like this. Like, what, for this? There's a telly behind. What, you want more money for this? You can't even be arsed showing up to watch it.
Just ridiculous. I don't know what it is. I think it must be more complicated than I'm making out in my own head, that it's just all this weird, maybe misplaced pride and posturing from certain fans groups.
That's exactly what it is. It's just tribalism. So? Yeah. It's just tribalism. That's all it is.
I'd like to have thought not. I was trying to kind of pull away from that point of view, but that was my initial impression, to be honest. I think we've got into a weird situation in Scottish football, led mainly by Rangers' decision to do it a few years ago now, where we're just unhappy to see opposition fans in our own grounds, and it's just not a point to be made at all. Imagine that in any other league. Imagine
this is the point I was making, and I did lift it from the Discord, but it was, imagine Man U just decided they hated Liverpool fans. Well, they kind of do, but to the point where we're not going to let Liverpool fans in our stadium anymore. That wouldn't fly. That wouldn't even get off the ground as a discussion.
And that would be the extreme one, because that's one of the so-called rivals rivalries in England. So that would then trickle down to one of the lesser games like Celtic versus Hearts, because that's not in the same level as Celtic versus Rangers, or maybe even Rangers versus Aberdeen. So it starts trickling down to the point where Luton are like, no, we don't want Man City celebrating in our stadium, so we're going to give them 100 tickets. It just wouldn't happen.
No.
But your response to me saying that is correct. It's a completely absurd thing to bring up, because it just wouldn't happen. But for some reason in Scottish football, we're sowing the seeds of this, and we absolutely have to put a stop to it now before it gets ridiculous.
It seems we're desperate to kill our own league, Millie. And I think this is like, there's like I don't want to sound like a pure woke idiot here, right? Go woke, go broke, of Midlothian, right? But there's like this toxic fandom on the internet that exists on Twitter, right? Which is mostly a meme, right? Yeah. It's mostly a meme. We hate the offer, and we hate. Like, I know you guys want to pretend you support a big team and all that, but the fact is you don't. Like, that's just that's just facts. You don't have the numbers. You don't have the fans. You don't have it. So we hate Celtic. We will lock them out of our stadium. Our Hearts fans will sit. It's not going to happen. That is not going to happen, and it played out there. And I think Brendan Rodgers calls for some sort of minimum quantity for the league. I think that needs to come in now, and it's pathetic that you need to do it. And the difference between Hearts and Rangers is Rangers try to close the gap on Celtic, so they locked us out because they didn't like us celebrating, then immediately sold season tickets for those seats to get themselves more money in. Now, that, whether you agree with it or not, that as a business decision for the people whose main interest is getting as much money into Rangers Football Club as possible, that makes sense. The Hearts thing was to lock Celtic fans out, hopefully sell tickets to their own fans, and that never panned out. So there was no real benefit for them. So that it doesn't make any sense, and it's a failed experiment, as I've said 8 times now.
Yeah, it's not just Hearts, there's many other teams. Remember St Mirren's Classic, where they offered people a chance to buy tickets so our Celtic fans didn't get to go to games and that.
£1.2 million lost, I think.
Worked out well, lads, worked out well. But we're sick of tired of it, I'm sick of moaning about it. It's getting to the point where people that go to away games regularly can't go. And there's people that are desperate to go to away games that never get to go because tickets aren't available to them. So at some point, somebody has to sit down and be sensible and say, look, we have a product here that people want to go and see. It's not a very good product, but there's still people out there desperate to come and watch it. You don't need to do anything else, by the way. The seats are all there. Everything's there. Just let them pay to go and watch the football. I don't understand it. I keep saying, like, no other sport in the world would do this. If somebody came over from abroad and said, you're not going to the game this weekend? No, why not? Couldn't get a ticket. Sold out? Nope.
Yeah, it's like back to boxing, all of it. It's like Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul at Wembley.
Right.
And they just go, are we going to have that tier full? No, we're going to keep that tier empty because we don't like Jake Paul fans. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense. And I wouldn't be sitting here saying this had Hearts sold out the stadium and it was that time capsule atmosphere and they were all jumping up and down for the full 90 minutes and it really spurred the players on and it was a classic battle of a match and I'm thought, God, that was brilliant, all those Hearts fans, but it was nowhere near close to that.
Literally the only thing they had to do to stop this forever was to just turn up.
Yeah.
Just turn up, just buy their tickets, turn up and make it the atmosphere that it's, you know, it's famed for a reason. We all say that as fans. We all hear that from Celtic players who've been there. We all hear it from Brendan Rodgers. They all talk about the Tynecastle atmosphere, and he also said it was the quietest he'd ever heard it. So it's not that it's a kind of like the discussion we've been having recently about the Celtic Park atmosphere myth. It's not a myth because these reputations come about for a reason. It's just that they let them, for whatever reason, they let them kind of wither a little bit, and that seems to be what Hearts have done. But that we shut up forever if they just turn up in their droves to this game, prove themselves right, prove us wrong. But they didn't do it, and that's basically it. You know?
And with Hearts, you just know it's a lot of crap anyway, because in the Scottish Cup game last season, Celtic get given an allocation because in Scottish Cup games you have to give a certain allocation, and Celtic got a lot. I got to go to that game, but now it's a league game and they get 500 people. It's crazy. This is a product we think struggles to sell. I reckon between Celtic and Rangers, you could probably sell out at least half of the away stadiums. But look, that's not probably realistic, is it? So give them the stand, give them what they want. People want to go and see football. Let them pay to go and see it.